Hey, this video is going to be a little bit different. This video is going to be just some raw storytelling from a mildly burnt out entrepreneur, ironically on the topic of how to avoid burnout as an entrepreneur. And so as you might expect, I'm not going to share all the answers, but I'm just going to share a couple experiences that I've been having. And this is a little unconventional because my channel is usually focused on helping educators and leaders make connection and engagement easy. Although I'll say that one of the most common things I hear when I'm working with some of the top universities and organizations on the planet, even really high-performing ones that we think are just all roses and butterflies at work. One of the most common struggles that I hear is how do we avoid burnout? So in this video, I'm gonna share some ahas that I had today while oscillating between motivated and burnt out. Here we go. All right, so the story all begins with these boxes and a giant miscommunication. So I had 1,000 decks of We Engage cards that were supposed to be shipped to a warehouse so that when orders came through, people could get their orders of their cards. There was just, they were moving 1,000 decks from one warehouse to the other, and somehow, instead of the warehouse address, we ended up with my home address. And so for 6 days straight, 5 to 10 boxes from Amazon showed up on my step, all about 40 pounds, 50 pounds each. They're pretty heavy. And so this came at a time where I was already feeling a little bit burnt out, a little fried, although I don't look like it there. And this is a really important thing to know about burnout is, on the surface, you may not see it. Burnout sometimes shows up sometimes it's obvious, right? People are just like, they're not showing up for work on time, they're just checked out. But sometimes people are right on the edge of being totally fried, but they've got a smile on their face and they're showing up to work and they're going to all your meetings, etc. Which is true for me, right? On days where I'm teetering on like, whew, I think I need a break. If I have a session or a workshop to lead with a client, right? I don't wanna show up in that state. And so I shift that state, but right after that session, that exhaustion still exists. And so I today had a couple ahas. So continuing the story, I had to unpack all these boxes, repack them. I did recruit my brother to help. It was quite useful. So we got all these boxes and I eventually opened up the trunk of my car and started unloading all of them. Oh my goodness. I was pretty covered in sweat after that. And to be really raw with you, this shirt hasn't been washed since that happened. And so loaded up all the boxes, closed the trunk. Then I got to the store and look really closely here. Something really magical happened. See the woman in the purple? So I was feeling really, really burnt out. And this woman who had a cane at the UPS store insisted on holding the door while I carried all 16 of these boxes into the store. She insisted on holding the door, even though I said, no, it's okay, have a seat, I got it. I set up a system, I can kind of get it right. I can get it. And on the 14th box, you can't hear it because it's a time lapse, but on the 14th box, I finally was like, thank you. Thanks for your generosity. Thanks for pouring some good into the world. This happened to have happened on October 31st, which is Halloween in the United States. And so it was a pretty cool little Halloween treat. And I'm sharing that with you because I think when we're burnt out, oftentimes we find what we're looking for or we hear what we're listening for. And so when I'm getting burnt out, I'm listening and I'm paying attention to all the ways that I'm fried and all the ways that my work is hard or exhausting or all the things that I have to do rather than get to do, right? And my attention starts going all in this direction, which spirals and contributes to that burnout. Now, with a very simple perspective shift, the world is filled with lots of other things other than what exhausts you and bores you and whatever, right? It's filled with generosity, it's filled with learning, and in fact, ironically, in the deck of We Engage cards, of which there were 1,000 of in my living room. One of the quotes from the deck is this idea that mistakes are the portals to discovery. And how valuable is that concept? So for me, I was just thinking, this is so annoying. I should not be spending my time unpacking and repacking. It took like a total of, over the course of a couple days, a total of like 6 to 8 hours to unpack and repack these boxes, right? Not ideal way to spend my time, especially with a little newborn. My learning is to be really deliberate in communication so that no more bulk shipments or pallets arrive at my house and that things go properly to warehouse. And so in this case, I'm letting that mistake be a portal to a little discovery or rediscovery, I suppose. All right, so here's where the story gets weird. I get home and it's amazing how this woman's like little moment of generosity has sparked some motivation for me. It's got me out of burnout as an entrepreneur and into inspired. I went home and power washed, which how gross is that, by the way? New house, we just moved here. Power washed the wall of my driveway, which why driveways having wall? That's just an aside. And so I think with burnout, sometimes we need to lean into, there's a natural cycle, right? There's seasons of life. There's, when we breathe, we inhale and we exhale. And I think with our work, we need times to inhale and get really intense and times to exhale. And yet the narrative in our culture is keep going, especially as an entrepreneur, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't ever stop. That's so counterproductive to the way that most things operate in life, which is in this cyclical nature. And so I've learned at this point that if I'm feeling burnt out, it's my brain and my heart and my body saying, just pause for a minute and take some time. And when your mojo is back, lean into that. And so I used to get really worked up and beat myself up when I was down. And now I just have learned to say a little bit more, I'm exhaling. And at some point I'll inhale and at some point I'll exhale. And I actually know, sitting here right now as I record this, that over the next year, my burnout and motivation levels are gonna be a sinal wave. Sinal wave, I don't know enough about calculus to actually use that analogy. They're gonna be a wave. There's gonna be ups and downs, and they're gonna be maybe even somewhat regular for me and predictable. And when I can predict burnout, or predict right before burnout, I can do things to slow or speed up the recovery from that time. But I don't actually try to avoid it altogether, because I actually think that it's natural. It's our body saying, hey, it's time to take a pause. It's time to exhale. The last thing that I wanna offer to you in this video that kind of breaks the format of most of my videos on tutorials on how to make virtual engagement and connection easy. My invitation, if you are starting to feel a bit burnt out as an entrepreneur, is look for the subtle hints of encouragement. And there's a massive irony in this whole burnout, frustration, cards being shipped to my house sort of deal. And that was the rubber band that keeps We Engage cards together says, let's stick together, which is, well, you know, a lovely little pun on cards sticking together. So the irony in me realizing or remembering that this message was in the boxes I was carrying, let's stick together. And earlier that morning, I was on LinkedIn and caught a brilliant little clip of a TED Talk.
So what does it take to live to 100 or beyond? As you will see, the answer is not what we expect.
About what it takes to live to 100 and beyond. And I'll skip to the end here. Let me just fast forward a little bit. The number 3 way of living to 100 and beyond is to quit smoking. The number 2 way is to invest in your deep relationships. Turn the volume down. Number 2 way is to invest in your deep relationships. And the number 1 way is pretty surprising, is this idea of social integration, which is familiarity with neighbors, like informal connections, even though they might not be deep connections. And so my interaction with that woman who held the door for me while I carried all my boxes in, believe it or not, is one little variable that makes a big difference in my chance of living beyond 100. But I would also argue that it makes a pretty big difference in your chance of surviving life as an entrepreneur or a really busy leader or educator. Super fun to share a little bit of a story with you in an unconventional format. If you liked this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts or your strategies on how to uncover burnout. Because most of my videos are like, here's 7 ideas and kind of value packed. And this was a little bit more of a hang back, enjoy story time. And so if you've got things that you know for you help you avoid burnout, I would love to know them in the comments. And I bet everybody else who's made it to this point in the video would also love to read them. Have an awesome, not burnt out day.